Oh, let's start with our identity prayer. What do you say? Here we go. I know that within myself there is that life which is perfect, complete, divine. It was never born and cannot die, for it lives and is God. Within myself is the wholeness, peace, poise, and power of life. This life is health. It is abundance, it is love. There is one life, and it is the life of God, and this is my life now. And so it is. And when we live by these words, our lives work. Is that not so?
Yes.
That is so, yes. Thank you. So it's our anniversary. It's our annual membership meeting day. I just want to quickly go over the logistics of that again so everybody's clear. When we finish our time here together and sing our peace song, if you're a member of the center, go by the desk or the tables outside, find your name, A to Z, in order, sign it. You're going to get a packet of information and scurry on over to the large classroom at the other end of our complex here. And that's where we're going to have our meeting. And once we all get in there and get settled and know how many of us there are, we can call a quorum, we're going to do our meeting. We'll do it as quickly as we can because I was cooking all day yesterday and I got food for you to eat. So we'll get through that. If you're not a member, yay, okay. If you're not a member of the center and would like to come to the meeting, you're welcome to come to the room. We're just going to have a method for our members to vote. And if you're thinking about being a member, if you took one of those cards today, we absolutely encourage you to come over and see what we're doing so you know what you're getting yourself into. So we're going to do all that here in a little while. In the meantime, Barbara, thank you. What a wonderful memory of these past 17 years. I believe this time has been well spent. So I want to take a moment now and kind of look forward and see, we kind of know how we've gotten to here. And what is it that we're going to do from now on? Where is it we're going to take this? Well, one thing I'm pretty clear about, we're not building anymore. I'm tired of building. But I love our facility. In fact, I had some fun with some of my colleagues who are in rental spaces and sent out some little emails to them with a picture of our center because I pulled it up for Barbara to show you. And I thought, some people are contacting me. I'm letting them know it's our anniversary. And I got some nice comments back. They were very impressed. And when Deb Thalen and I were talking this morning, she was saying her minister in Kentucky is going to be very excited to know that we have a school. I bet she knows, but we're going to tell her again anyway, Deb. And this wonderful journey has to have a purpose. And it has to have a purpose that's bigger than us. And I believe that it does. And it starts with things like that identity prayer and how we find who we are out of that. But there was a statement that Ernest Holmes made in his original textbook that I find the most compelling statement about what our intention is and what this is about than anything else I've ever read that he wrote. And it goes like this: the science of mind and spirit makes a tremendous claim when it states that it can free the individual from the bondage of sickness, poverty, and unhappiness. But it makes this statement without hesitation and without qualification. It does not detract from this claim, and it never will. Wow. He's saying that we have discovered, not that it hasn't been around always, not that the wisdom that we teach hasn't always been available to human experience, but we have figured out that if we follow this simple course of knowing who we are, of staying out of judgment, of accepting that our path is a spiritual path, that we can live brilliant, meaningful, loving, productive, successful, prosperous lives. All of us without exception. That we are never victim. That we are never at the downside of a situation. That we are the creator of our experience. And if we can live by that as individuals, then we can have whatever life we choose to have. And if it's true for us as individuals, it's true for us as a collective. Meaning that when we come here and we support one another in believing this about ourselves and one another, we all get stronger in this understanding. We get clear about who we are. These words make a tremendous claim. This teaching makes a tremendous claim that the divine presence that created the universe dwells in you, and it dwells in me. And if we see that in one another, and if we take it out into the world and see it in everyone that we see, if we stop falling into judgment, into fear, into confusion, and we live from that place of knowing, we can create the life of our dreams. Yet we have to do the work, because this life that looks so multiplicitous keeps telling us that there's danger, that there's things to be afraid of, that there's things that could go wrong. But the truth is that we are the creators of what happens in our lives. It takes some real work to believe that and to live that. It's one thing to believe it, but it's quite another thing to live it. Ours is not a complicated teaching. It's a very simple teaching, but it's profound in its simplicity. So our work is with one another to support and believe in who we are, not to find fault in ourselves or one another, to believe everything about us is on that spiritual path, and to reconcile that on a regular basis, because everything is part of spirit. Nothing is outside of spirit. It's just that simple. You can go on back to the title slide. So that being so, and this being our anniversary, we celebrate. And we contemplate who we are in the midst. And by coincidence, today is not only our anniversary. Today is the birthday of Dr. Martin Luther King. He was born 83 years ago. It doesn't sound like that long ago. We have people in this room that are older than that, who were born before Dr. King. Yet in his short 39 years, which ended in a motel in Memphis, he touched so many lives in such an incredibly powerful way. He gave a speech in Washington at one time, which has become known as I Have a Dream speech, where he presented ideas that were bigger than him, that would outlive him, that were so profoundly valuable to this country and to the world, that it is one of the most repeated speeches of all time. This idea that we could move past that thing that sort of separates us, because some of us might have a different colored skin. Some of us might speak with a different accent. Some of us might have a different way of being in the world, a different orientation to life than others of us. But to remember the basis of our teaching, of our faith, is that doesn't matter. We're still all the divine presence. Now, as important as this man's work was in the world, his church still struggles with this. His church struggles with it, and the reasoning behind that is that there apparently are some scriptures in the Old Testament that somehow say that being homosexual is wrong. Now, the weird thing about this to me is that there's places in the Old Testament that also say people of color are inferior. So why do you take some of it and leave the rest? The truth is that neither of those statements is correct. That we have the ability within us. We have within us the ability to know that to the depths of our being. And we stand by that in this teaching. That there is no one better than another. That there is nothing wrong with loving someone no matter who they are. What's right is to know that the divine presence guides and directs us in who we are and what we do. And that is from within, not outside, not in a book. That is why I do not accept the Christian Bible as the infallible Word of God. I accept it as people's idea in the time that they live in some way that worked for them. It doesn't work for me now. What works for me now is to know the truth of who I am and to live in that truth. I found this thing. It's called the Science of Mind. It's a terrible name. People think it means Scientology. But it's what I got, and it's what it's called, so I'm going to keep calling it that. I'm not going to back away because focus groups say that it just kind of doesn't draw them. What draws me is not the name. It's what it means. It's what I find in it, that sense of self with a capital S, knowing the truth of who I am. That's what I get. That's what feeds me. That's what this is about. So not only here in this community, but in our community worldwide, our task now is to embrace this teaching at an even deeper level so that we can be available to the world. I'm not delusional about the size of our movement. Do I think that everybody on the planet can embrace this? No. It takes someone who can see past the apparency of life to get this. You can get this. I so celebrate that you can get this, and that we can come together and do this, and that thousands of other people all over the planet come together and think in these terms. And there are others out there that are seeking to find us. So for me, the work is simply to continue to be available and visible so that those who seek to know this can have it and can have the life that they so dream of. That they can move past those things that haven't worked into something that is so absolutely clean in its knowing, without exception. That's our work. That's our work. So we'll continue to look at this, and whether we're doing it here, or we're doing it in Ukraine, or we're doing it in Mexico, or we're doing it anywhere else in the world, we're going to keep looking at this. We're going to keep exploring this and finding ourselves in the midst of it. That is our vision. That's the place that we're going, is to make ourselves available. It's not about, there's been this thing going on, it's kind of alluring, this idea of touching 100 million lives. Although I can't find anybody who's counting. It's a clever idea, but for me, I want to find just the right number of people that want to know this, so that I can celebrate their path and they can celebrate mine, so that we can see the divine within everything about us, so that we can break those bonds of judgment that so many others in this country and in the world are shackled to, and know that everything's okay. Everything's okay. No matter who's in the White House, no matter who's in Congress, no matter what the economy looks like, God's still all there in us. Yes. And we will move through life with that knowing, and have peace in our lives, and peace in our hearts, and peace in our relationships, no matter what. And that's the greatest gift that we can bring the world, and that's the vision that we direct ourselves to. So it's not really about numbers. It's not about popularity. It's not about achieving some level of success on a secular level. What it's about is knowing the truth, living it as purely as we can. I believe the success of the early Christian church was not about the martyrs, not about the writers or the teachers. It was about the fact that people in that movement had great compassion. And when others saw them, they said, what is it that you have? I want that to be us. I want us to have great compassion for one another and for the world, and to set down all the judgment and live in the purity of knowing that God is all there is, and see if that doesn't create an environment that is irresistible to the world. That would be a wonderful thing to do. So I want to end here with a poem. Take it to the next slide. It's just a picture of the center. I think it fits. This is my favorite poem. And it speaks to this path that we're on. This wonderful path. Two roads diverged in a yellow wood. And sorry I could not travel both. And being one traveler, long I stood and looked down one as far as I could, to where it bent in the undergrowth. Then took the other, as just as fair, and having perhaps the better claim, because it was grassy and wanted wear. Though as for that, the passing there had worn them really about the same. And both that morning equally lay on leaves no step had trodden back. Oh, I marked the first for another day. Yes, knowing how way leads to way, I doubted I should ever come back. I shall be telling with a sigh, somewhere ages and ages hence, two roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by. And that has made all the difference. That's the truth of my life, and I offer it to you. I love you so much.